Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Feel It to Heal It podcast. I am about to go live on Instagram for a little impromptu Monday chat as I celebrate 5 years since moving to San Diego, August 5th, 2019, and wanted to just share some reflections about what it takes to create a life beyond your wildest dreams. All right, let's go live. Hello, everyone. Surprise! I'm doing a little impromptu Monday live. It's not morning tea live, but of course I have my tea. So grab your tea, get cozy, and we're just gonna do a little short and sweet live around what it takes to create building a life beyond your wildest dreams. So for those that have not seen my Instagram stories today marks 5 years since moving to San Diego. For those that don't know my story, I am from New York. My entire life, I said, I want to go to California, but my whole family's in New York. I can't imagine leaving them. And if it weren't for everyone I know being in New York, I would go to California. Well, when I came to San Diego on vacation, February of 2019, so just earlier that year, or no, 2018, earlier the year before, and I landed here before I even saw San Diego. Like literally, I had just gone out of the airport. I went to dinner with my friends who I was visiting. We went to this Mexican restaurant where the planes flew over. And I just remember feeling this sense of, I am home. And so I texted my family and I was like, I landed safely and I need to move here. This is me and my family. I'm the crazy one that says shit like that. And they were like, ha ha ha. And I was like, no, I'm serious. And they got very concerned because I can be impulsive sometimes. They were writing me long emails, being like, what's happening? And I just knew. I just knew. And the thing is about San Diego is there wasn't anything like big and flashy about it. It wasn't like, oh my God, this like flashy city. I think that's kind of what drew me to it. Was just this calm, grounded feeling of like, wow, everyone is so nice. The weather is amazing. Like all those are just kind of the surface level perks, right? Of like the weather, the people, the food. But it was just this inner soul knowing of like, I have just landed home. I am home. And so pause due to poor connection. Okay, we're back. So being the crazy gal I am, I literally tried moving 3 months after that trip. So I visited them in February. I had my lease ending in Astoria, New York in June. And I literally tried to move in May. Like I had one of my friends who wanted to sublet my apartment. I was literally trying to move 3 months later. And this is where my family got really concerned. They were like, okay, so pump the brakes, slow down. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, give us some time to catch up and warm up to this idea and like have a conversation. That's me. I'm like, guys, I'm doing this. And they're like, what? Literally every crazy decision I've done has always been the best decision, but also alarming to the people that love me. So, anywho, back at that point, I then decided to wait about a year and a half. I decided to accept a job in Long Island, New York. And looking back, I can understand why I was not meant to move that May because I had several different significant life events that happened during that time. One, my mom got sick and she passed away. Two, I ended up breaking up with the boyfriend that I was supposed to move with. So that put a little wrench in the plans because we had been planning for a year and a half and we were going to move in together. He really wanted LA. I always wanted San Diego. We were going to do San Diego. And about, let's see, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, about 6 months before we were scheduled to move, I broke up with him. And I just knew. I was like, I'm meant to do this alone. But then the kicker was 6 weeks after I broke up with him, I met someone unexpectedly and fell deeply in love and was like, what the fuck, universe? I'm scheduled to move across the country and you have me meet this person now. And that's how it goes. Always. This is how the universe works. We have our human mind try and control and plan the timing for everything. And then the universe is like, uh, just kidding. Just kidding. We have a different plan. Sorry to hear about your mom. Thank you. And we try and control it all, but we can't control it all because the universe has a greater plan. So I met this person 6 weeks after. My ex was like, oh, like, is this why you broke up with me? Because it was so close together. And I was like, no, like, I didn't expect to meet this person. And I told him from the beginning, like, I'm scheduled to move across the country in 4 months. This can't be anything serious. Again, me trying to control it. And then it turned out to be the most serious relationship I've ever experienced in my life. It was like the deepest love I'd ever experienced. And I was like, okay, God, what's up? Like, I know I'm meant to move to California, but I'm also like ready to marry this man tomorrow. Like, what is happening here? Am I meant to stay in New York? Is he meant to go to California? Turns out neither of those options. We had a plan C that I didn't know about, which is that we were meant to just experience this 4 months. He was meant to be a huge support during the loss of my mom and was like that rock that I needed to get through all that trauma. And then he was meant to stay in New York and I was meant to go to California. Now, before doing this healing work, I did not have safety around pain, meaning I didn't feel safe to actually feel my pain. So my anxious attachment was so activated that once I actually got on that plane 5 years ago today, I will never, ever forget that morning, the night before we had gone out in the city with some of his friends, and I had a going away party. I had a last like Broadway show hurrah with some friends. And I will never forget the night before, like we had the option of going back to this restaurant that we had been on our first date and just having like just like a quieter night at home, or to go out with his friends. And I think we were just like too sad. And we were like, let's just go out and, numb our feelings. And it ended up being a very fun night. But by the time we got home, it was so late that we literally just passed out. And then a few hours later, I had to wake up and start packing for the airport. And he had to go to work. And it was just like, when someone dies and the house is quiet, or like there's this morning, it was the quietest morning we had ever experienced, because we had this routine, because he basically lived with me like from the second we met. And I was living at my step grandma's house. She just had passed. So it was just us in the home. Anyway, so I remember we were just like brushing our teeth because there were these like double sinks, and it was just silence. It was like we just knew we were about to have our hearts broken. Now, this is the most important thing about creating life beyond your wildest dreams, is that your heart will break 1,000,000 times. And that's why most people will not create a life beyond their wildest dreams, because they don't want to feel hurt. They operate from this place of protectors and survival mode of, I'm going to do everything in my power to avoid pain. That is literally what our nervous systems are designed to do, is to avoid pain. When we avoid pain, we stay small, we stay stuck, we stay in our comfort zone, and we don't actually get to live a life that most will never experience, which is a life of freedom, abundance, magic, possibility, anything else that you want in your life, because most people are not willing to go through the heartbreak. And that was something that I always was really good at, of like listening to my gut when it came to the big things, and knowing that even if this hurts me or hurts someone else temporarily, it's all part of the journey. Like, I didn't let that stop me. So that morning we're just in silence, and then it's time to walk him out to the car. It sounds so dramatic, but like it literally felt like out of a movie. I will never, ever forget it. And I'm just wailing, like sounds that I've never heard come out of me before. And I've been through breakups, but this was like heart on the floor being shattered. And he cried, and then he drove to work, and then we were just wailing like on the front yard, just It was so painful. And I called my sister and I was like, you need to come over here. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to get myself to the airport. I am not okay. I am a mess. And then she comes over, helps me finish packing. She and my brother drive me to the airport. I'm like already so emotionally exhausted. Luna. And get to the airport. Then we have more tears. And then I had other family come over that morning and say goodbye. It was just such a hard day. So hard. And then I finally get on the plane. I land. My friend picks me up and I'm just like on empty. I was so exhausted. And as soon as I get there, I'm just like, I feel terrified. I feel scared. I don't know what's going to happen with us. We ended up doing like long distance because we were just delaying the inevitable and he was scheduled to visit. So he did. And I could tell when he visited, like, this is it. I gotta let him go. And he said, when you love someone, you set them free. And that is love rather than attachment. Love is when you say, I love you so much that I'm setting you free and I want you to be happy and follow your authenticity. So we had a kind of final conversation 3 months later, and he looked at me. He was like, you need to let me go. You need to let New York go, and you need to give California a full chance. And that was the greatest gift that he or any man has ever given me, is just full blown, gentle nudge and permission to choose me. And the thing is, something my grandma used to always tell me was like, people are more important than places. So, your people are in New York. And I would tell her, I am a person and I'm the most important relationship in my life. And I'm being called to do this. So it's not really about the place. It's about me needing to follow my soul and its calling, am I going to pick up? But she was coming from a place of trauma and fear because my grandpa's sister had moved to California. And so my mom's cousins were there, and those are the ones I reconnected with. And they, they never got to see my grandpa's sister and that side of the family. And she felt like, the family was half in New York, half in California. So she was really scared of losing me to California. Now, my mom always wanted to move to California, but she didn't want to leave my grandparents. And then my mom ended up passing away before she even got to move to California. So I'm sharing all of this because we don't know how much time we have in each lifetime on this earth. And so we wait, right? Like my mom waited. She wanted to wait until she retired to move. Little did we know she wasn't even going to live until retirement. Most people plan their lives based on retirement. How do you even know you're going to be alive by the time you retire? So you have to live now. And my mom was really good at that, around like taking vacations and traveling and like making sure that she did live to the fullest. But, she didn't get to do a lot of the things that she wanted to do. And that's why my being here is so special, because it's like an extension of her life. Now, I tried to move. I didn't actually try, but I had the thought of moving back because my anxious attachment was so activated that I was like, holy shit, he's starting to date other people. Like, I'm about to lose him. And I was like, okay, this is just the fear talking. You know that you can't move back. You are so happy here. And so it takes great courage. And then it takes a level of being with the unknown. And most of us feel so terrified of the unknown that we don't leap into it without knowing how it's all going to work out. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if then it just meant we weren't meant to be together, or if he was going to eventually move there. But I could tell when he visited, it was not for him. And New York was not for me anymore. And then I felt angry because I was like, well, I've been in New York my whole life. How come I didn't meet you this, And oh no. Okay, hold on. Pause. My drink just spilled on my keyboard. Strangely enough, we had been set up, or the person who set us up tried to set us up years before. And so then I'm like, oh my God, what if we had met then, right? But we weren't meant to meet then, because then maybe I would have stayed in New York, which I was not meant to do. So my anxious attachment was activated. I was in so much pain, and I just had to fully accept, I am here. I need to give this a chance. And this is going to be scary, and that's okay. And then 3 years ago today, I had my very first session with my mentor where this work was introduced to me. And I began healing that same anxious attachment that made me want to move back to New York, but knew that that wouldn't have been the right decision. So you see excuse me, you see how everything lined up in a way to support me in feeling safe to actually be here. And that is the thing, is that when you have courage, when you move first and the universe responds, the universe will respond in ways where you feel supported. So I had no idea that by having that courage to leave this person, leave my family, leave everyone I knew, dive deep into the unknown. I had no job. I had no idea what I was going to do for work. I just fucking did it. I saved up. I moved back to my step grandma's house to live rent free and take care of her and save money. I did what I had to do. And you see how it was all perfectly orchestrated, where I wasn't meant to move that May because I had to be home with my mom and to meet this person that I was meant to meet. And then by the time I got here, I had about 2 years of just exploration, of getting jobs. And then 2 years later, I was led to start this business that I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know the online coaching world existed. I didn't even know what life coaching was. I just knew that I didn't want to be in the therapy world anymore. And then I met my mentor. I uncovered this work. I started doing it on myself. And now I've healed my anxious attachment. So you see how when you go first, the universe responds, and then you get to look back and you see how it all unfolded and how it was all meant to be. And I always said, my dream person and my dream location are going to be in alignment. I will never have to choose between one or the other, because that is the conditioning of having to settle, of having to sacrifice, of having to have one but not the other. And I knew in my deepest soul, if he is actually meant to be my person, he will be in San Diego. If he's not in California, then there's someone else in California. You have to be able to let go and not hold on, which feels utterly terrifying for the nervous system, which is why this work is so important. Because yes, I did the courageous things long before this work. Yes, I had the courage. Yes, I allowed my heart to be broken over and over and over again. Yes, I listened to my gut. Those are all things that existed innately and authentically within me before doing this work. But what this work gave me was it allowed me to process my stored trauma and my stored pain so that I felt safer to be with the pain, rather than when I got here and my anxious attachment was so activated and I was still grieving my mom and all the things, and I was just grasping on. I was like in full party mode. I was grasping on to men. I wasn't fully being with it. I was running away from it, and all the stuff I was running from in New York came with me here. And so eventually it's like the universe was like, here's your mentor, here's this work, it's time to heal. And I knew that traditional therapy was just not cutting it anymore. So I just love this story because it really shows that when you do the scary thing, even when you have no idea how it's going to work out, you have no idea what it's going to look like, the universe always has your back. And you always get to choose, am I going to sit here and let time pass me by and not live what my soul wants to experience because of fear? Like, what are you actually afraid of? You're afraid that you're going to die? Well, we're all going to die. So you might as well enjoy the time that you're alive in the way that you want to enjoy it, rather than living your whole life trying to prevent death when you're going to die anyway. Like, really think about that. Every single decision that makes you stay small and makes you live through safety, you're protecting yourself from what? The worst case scenario is always death, right? What else is the worst case scenario? Pain, death. I mean, you can survive pain, and we're all going to die anyway. So we might as well not live through protectors. And when you are living that way, you know it's coming from an inner child, because an inner child doesn't have the consciousness to be like, oh, we're all going to die anyway. An inner child is still in survival mode from just incarnating from that past life and then having your survival be dependent on your caregivers. So that just means that there is a younger part of yourself that needs tending to, which is the work I do with my clients every day, is helping you attune to your little inner child so that she does not run the show unconsciously, and so that you actually feel safe to create a life beyond your wildest dreams. So I think my water delivery is here, so I'm going to head off, but I hope this inspires you to take the action. Know that you are so deeply supported. Release the how. You do not need to know the how. It doesn't fucking matter. The how will be revealed. I didn't know the how for any of this. You just need to follow one baby step at a time and it will all unfold as it's meant to, I promise. Wow, this really resonates. I'm so, so glad. If you guys are needing support in processing your trauma, reparenting your inner child, I have one-on-one spots open as well as spots in my membership Beyond Your Wildest Dreams, which is my lowest cost offer where you get a healing community to give you that push when you're like, guys, I'm terrified, but I want to start the book. I want to start the business. I want to date the person. I want to break up with the person. Like whatever the thing that requires courage, you have a whole community behind you, pushing you and educating you and holding you accountable, because we don't have to heal alone. We're not meant to. We are relational based creatures. So head to the link in my bio or DM me if you want to learn more about that. And I'm also launching a new program so soon. I cannot wait to share it with you guys. It's going to be good. All right. Love you guys. Thank you. So needed to hear this. I'm so, so glad. Love you. And I will see you soon. Bye.